We are live. How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the Reseller Niche podcast. Russ will be with us soon. And I'd like to let everybody know about our guest real fast. It's Shane, the Rise and Grind Picker, gracing us with his presence. And we are going to talk today about everything reselling, vintage, everything Shane's doing, his YouTube channel, which I have below. It's actually in the show notes. So please subscribe to him, Rise and Grind Picker. So how's it going, Shane?
Good, Mo. I'm glad to, it's awesome that you and Russ invited me on, and we're going to have a lot of fun tonight, and appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So, I mean, for anyone, I mean, I'm sure people know you. We're actually a lot newer than you are. You're big on YouTube, and give people kind of a basic background on yourself real fast.
Yeah, definitely. So, what I do is I will run Craigslist ads. I buy storage units. I buy estate buyouts and closeouts, and I'll do thrift stores, garage sales, you name it. And I source items. I do wholesale as well. Some wholesale. I'm dabbling in that, and I will flip it on eBay. I'm currently started just selling on Mercari, and I'll be selling on Poshmark probably by the end of the week. And then I dabbled in Amazon. It didn't go too well, but I might kind of feed back into Amazon a little bit. Probably all merch fulfilled when I potentially near the fourth quarter, but that's what I do. And I've been doing this since 2005. I actually started buying storage units in 2005, and then the shows got really big, so it kind of weeded all the profit out.
Nice. I mean, I've been to, just to segue a little bit in terms of storage units. Is that something you still do, or is it or is it kind of just you kind of taper down a little bit, or?
Yeah, I dabble in it now. I'll still do storage units. I'll buy them online. There's a website. It's called storagetreasures.com.
Yeah,
and you can bid on them online. Occasionally, I will go to a storage auction. I am still on the mailing list of most of the storage facilities around my area, and then what's awesome is I actually have know some guys that run their own storage facilities. So when someone doesn't pay, they will actually come to me and just sell it to me.
So how does that work exactly? Because I know there's rules. I guess it's state by state, but how does it work when, I mean, I know there's set auctions, but when these guys, they own the place, how does that work when they do that?
So really, on storagetreasures.com, what I've ran into is the thing about that is it's really confusing, but they are putting it up, but they can cancel it at any time. But if you buy it, you can't cancel. Okay. So I was actually bidding on 5 of them and winning on all 5 one day, and I had an hour left, and they canceled all 5.
What?
Because the buyer actually, or the seller actually resolved the debt with the tenant, so they had to cancel it. But see, when you go to a live storage auction, they don't have the benefit of canceling it. So once you buy it, it's yours. It's done. You put your own lock on it and go. The thing is, in Illinois, you have to have, so auctioneers, if you take it to auction, they have to have an auctioneer's license, and they even have to go to auctioneer school in Illinois.
Okay.
And that's where I live, is Illinois. But if they own their own facility, they can choose to sell it and not take it to auction. And they can sell it for profit.
Really?
Yep.
Really? That's interesting. I to be honest, I should know the rules in this because I'm in California. I mean, I've never actually purchased a storage unit. I've looked at a bunch. I've gone online and looked at a bunch. I just haven't. So that's something I need to do. But I mean, is that specifically for your county or state, or is that?
That's state. I mean, okay. And most of these storage facility guys, a lot of them, they don't even do auctions at all. They'll just outright. Most of them will take it to auction because they want the most money for it. But there's some like really small storage unit. Like the guys only, usually own just one facility, and it's like less than 50 units. Most of the smaller guys, they fly in under the radar enough where they can just outright, if they don't pay, they just send them papers that they're evicting them or whatever, and then they'll sell it.
Okay.
As long as they have it like in tight on the legal end, civilly, like you're all good for the most part.
Okay. Because around here, it's mainly like public storage. I know like Home Depot, not Home Depot, U-Haul has their own, and those are the big. Yeah, those are the big ones. And there's other companies too, but I mean, I don't know if it's just the Bay Area or not, but that's. I mean, as far as the stuff you get in the store, I know I'm segueing a little bit, but as far as stuff you found in these, that always intrigues me because I know TV probably hype it up, and they've got like, oh, I found the Mona Lisa, I found a copy of the whatever.
Right.
They don't ever really find. What have you really found?
So the thing is, you're not going to hit gold in every unit. I've never really lost a lot of money on a unit. I've broke even, and I've probably lost money with like gas and all that stuff. Back when I was doing it really hot and heavy in 2005, 2007, probably around there, I was buying 3 to 4 to 5 units in auction. Some of them would not be very good, and you would probably just about break even. But there's been a couple. One of them that stands out is I actually bought a unit for $1,200 one time. It sounds like a lot. It does. But it had this like old barn, or not an old barn. I would say it was a new barn, but it was disassembled, and all the wood was piled on top. You could see down below there was this like really old truck in there, and it was just like a Chevy S10, and it looked pretty beat up. But then you could see like in the back some like new stuff. So I bid on it and I won it at $1,200. And when I removed all the wood from the disassembled barn, it was all brand new power tools stacked up to the ceiling.
Holy mackerel.
I really lucked out, and I made probably, I would say, around $5,000 to $6,000 profit. I was actually loading. I had a truck and trailer at the time. I don't right now, but eventually I want to get a box truck. But I had a truck and trailer at the time, and I was loading my trailer up while posting stuff on Craigslist. And by the time I got my trailer loaded up, I had about $900 in my pocket from selling it while loading it up.
Damn.
So
That's crazy. That's crazy because I get the sense that around here they kind of, I don't know if it's legal or not, the guys that own it kind of cherry pick. I don't know. That's the sense I've always got, that they kind of like stick their head in there, or they know what's in there.
I've been to some auctions where they load the unit. So, and that's where I stopped going to those places. Like one time I walked up and I was bidding on a unit, and as soon as I seen it, I immediately stopped bidding. But they had an old jewelry box, and they pulled the drawer out and stuffed it with costume jewelry flowing out of it. So some of those facilities will actually load the units to make them look good. But
is that because I always assumed that they'll like front load a little bit? They'll have like a here's a box of vintage records or something like electronics or tools like you found or something like that in the front. And when you go back there's like mattresses and like who knows what else, old clothes, that kind of stuff.
You can kind of tell when they do that though, because like most of the time, like the way stuff is stacked, you can tell if someone's moved it. If you've done it enough, you can definitely look at it and be like, yeah, they moved that around, or they moved this around. Usually the good stuff, the really good stuff, is going to be hidden. Like it's not even going to be right there in front. So
nice. And then Russ has made it. How's it going, Russ? How are you?
It's technically challenging, but we're making it.
There you go.
How are you doing?
Usually I'm the one with the internet issues, but that's
great,
okay.
Great, Russ. Thanks for having me on tonight. How are you?
I'm good. Listen, I wanted to talk to you both at the beginning of the show, but So this is the one Mo's been cheating on me with. Huh? I go away for a while, Mo. You find another guy.
What can I say? What can I say? He's good people.
He dropped off again. Again.
That's okay. His internet connection is kind of he's just in the he's just back in town, so we might see that a lot. So Russ will be back with us in a second. Oh, there we go. He's already back, I think. But yeah, that'll take him a couple of seconds.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because Russ actually has more knowledge about storage units than I do. He was in. Let me see. Where is he in? He was in Louisiana before, and now he's in Georgia now, in the Savannah area. Hey Russ, we're just talking about storage units, and I don't know if you've got a chance to look at any in the Savannah area or where you are right now. How are they over there?
We're looking into it. I tell you that the neatest thing that I've seen on storage units is they're all going to the online auction.
Okay.
Where you don't have to go there. So is that Shane? I watched your video on turning 500 into 10K.
Yeah.
Was that more of a wholesale or was that a storage unit?
No. So that was a little bit, it was a unique situation. I actually got contacted by a YouTube subscriber. And they're like, hey, do you still live in this area in Illinois? And I said, yeah. And so what happened was they actually put me in touch with a real estate agent. She had sold this like $400,000 house and was having the walkthrough on like that Friday. And it was like Wednesday night. And she had the basement of this house all filled with bubble mailers, still brand new in a box.
Wow.
From the floor to the ceiling. And it was, I think it's probably, I haven't counted them all yet. I took a really quick inventory, and the first row, I have about 3.5 rows, and they're from the floor to the ceiling, and they just have a little tiny aisleway. I have to like really suck it in and like kind of scoot down. Like I counted 69 boxes or 68 in the first half of the first row.
Wow.
Wow, you're all set.
I noticed you did something really smart though, and this is what I didn't do on my first like big buy like that, or you know, I hit a hoarder house one time, and it taught us. You immediately went and got the U-Haul.
Yeah. And
you immediately went and got help.
Yep.
Man, that's brilliant because you know that's pro tips right there because. We tried to pick a hoarder house. It was just me and my brother-in-law. And by the end of the day, we said, we should have just told the guy we'll buy everything.
Right.
Yeah. And that's me. I would have been busting my ass in a Civic, trying to fit it all in there.
Trying to shove it in, cram it in there.
Yeah.
And that's just like my knowledge from buying storage units, because I used to buy a ton of them back in like 2005, 2007. And so there you have to, most places like in Illinois give you 24 hours. That's it. Right. And so if you buy 4 units and you're like, oh crap, I can't fit it, you have to find something in 24 hours. So this was just right up my alley. Like I had about 48 hours or less to come up with a plan to move it all. And nice. I knew exactly what I needed to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very smart, and it's that knowledge that makes it. Now you say you're in Illinois. Now I want you to look real close on that
St. Louis Cardinals right there. Hey, I'm a huge Cardinals fan, so that's awesome.
Okay, good. I was going to say we were going to have to end this conversation if you had a blue sea.
No, I don't like the Cubs. No, I actually live about 2 hours from St. Louis, and we try to attend a couple of Cardinals games once a year. Sometimes we don't make it, but we try.
That's the area I grew up in. So yeah, so
nice.
My blood, I bleed Cardinal red.
Hey, me too. Same here.
Awesome.
There you go. So I'm going to segue on here a little bit. Actually, last thing, how's it going in terms of selling some of that stuff? Are you getting a lot of people like hitting you up on Craigslist, or how's that working?
So I haven't even posted them to Craigslist yet, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I posted them to Facebook, and I really don't like selling on Facebook Marketplace. So I posted them on Facebook and I offered shipping. Haven't really had that much of kind of a turnaround on Facebook, but I've sold to some of my YouTube subscribers. They kind of hit me up through email, and I sold to them. And then I've also sold. I just sold a box on eBay. So I sold today a box of 500, so 1 case of bubble mailers, nice. And I sold it for 50. Hold on, I sold it for $54.99.
Nice. There you go.
Nice. So that's awesome. About 1/3 of what I paid for the whole lot, like back in, one sale. So, and I just actually got the listings up a few days ago. I've really slacked on it.
No, that's on your video. You said, I wanted to say that, man, you were drained. It's big wholesale like that, and that even though you had help and everything, it's draining. Yeah. It will flat wear you out.
Yeah, and I actually unloaded the whole 20-foot U-Haul by myself, and I started like throwing up in the middle of it, and I had to finish it, and I really, when I got home, I was super sick, and I didn't have the flu. I think it was just I was dehydrated. I had worked for almost 2 days just moving boxes, and I was just super dehydrated.
It takes a toll. We recently did a military bulk buy.
Wow.
And we, carrying I live on the 2nd floor, so carrying everything up the steps, by the time we got it here, we were exhausted.
Yeah, Russ, I agree. Like carrying that stuff. And then someone in my video said, "Did you have a dolly?" Yeah, I had a dolly. It doesn't matter. It's still exhausting.
It's not going to help that much.
It's still a U-Haul full of boxes.
Yeah.
You got to get it out of that thing.
Hey, they're light. They start adding up.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, yeah, I had a dolly, but it didn't help.
No, not at all. All right, now let me see here. I want to talk about vintage because I to be honest, the first time I saw Shane online, I was watching Vintage Spy, and you were talking about like shirts and vintage jeans, and because a lot of people these days are kind of let's say because we're in the slow season, they're complaining a lot. That's kind of typical for this time of year. So I guess vintage stuff doesn't really have a season in a sense. It's obviously older. Right. So is there stuff that you're seeing that because people always say, give me a bolo. I go the opposite way. I would say, give me a Nolo. What's something that you saw that was maybe not even vintage, but that's kind of like, that's sold well, but it's not doing so well anymore, or something you just don't do well?
Tommy Hilfiger is one of those brands where you could pull it from a thrift and you could sell it, some of the shirts for $200, $300, $400. And it's kind of went down. Like now you're selling the shirts for $20 to $25, but you have to sit on them for 4 or 5 months. And that's the thing, is those brands will trend. So they get really popular and then they die down. Then they get really popular again, like maybe next year, and then they'll die down. So right now, like what I do is like, if I'm going to go pick up any Tommy Hilfiger, it's going to have to be unique for one. So like I picked up this Tommy Hilfiger button up like a month ago, and I've passed on probably 30 pieces, but I picked it up because it was a really cool, like brown paisley swirl.
Okay, it was different then.
Vintage shirt. And it was just totally unique.
Yeah.
And I'll pick those kinds of things up, or with the big flags. But those like certain brands will die down and pick back up. So the key is do not lower your price. Do not lower it.
Yeah.
Just keep it where what you want. Yeah. Yeah. Because then those prices lower, then everybody else's lowers their price, and then it just you're pricing down to the bottom. And
if you to the bottom. Yeah.
Yep. And literally I just sold, I don't know, it was like maybe 4 months ago. It was a Tommy Hilfiger women's extra small petite like rain jacket, but it was vintage and it was really cool. And I had that thing for like 5 months, and I just held my price out, and then I sold it for like $89.99.
Nice.
Just like that. And sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen that. I've seen the same thing with Tommy. I know a lot of people talk about Nautica. I've had pretty bad.
Made
I mean, I've had who sold it? Wasn't me.
Might have been Russ. I heard it's ching.
Oh, Russ. All right, guilty.
Nice.
Nice.
What did you sell, Russ?
I've got a ton of military.
Nope.
Oh,
it must have been a good sale because he just took off.
He's like, see ya, I just made a lot of money.
Nice.
So what were you saying, Mo, with Tommy?
Yeah, well, I've never had good luck with Nautica. I know a lot of people sell. I know you have like the big logos, the big, I guess similar to Tommy, it's kind of that old, like a 20, 30-year-old brand. I've never had luck with either of those brands, to be honest, Tommy Hilfiger or Nautica. And there's a few others too. But for some reason, I'm always dragging my heels when I don't know how well you do with Nautica, but
I don't actually find a lot of vintage Nautica. I find a lot of newer Nautica.
Okay.
And so my rule of thumb is if it's really bright and really, really cool, I'll pick it up. For my full price is $3.99 at Goodwill.
Okay.
That's my full price. But if it's not, so basically what I found is there's one form of Nautica that's newer, and it's called Nautica Heritage.
Okay.
And that sells really good. I didn't even know about it, and I just thought it was a polo, and I just thought it looked really, really cool. And it said Nautica Heritage, and I listed it up, and the next morning it was already sold for like $26.99. And I'm like, what?
So I can see, no, you know what? Because with the way you're describing that and the other Tommy one you talked about, I kind of do that when I go through a thrift store. Before, I'll scan the aisles, and if something pops out to me, it doesn't matter what it is, I'll grab it and pick it up, look it up, and then I'll go through and I'll look at every tag. Because the way I think about it is, look how small your phone is, and then in your phone, that little eBay picture is going to be about this big.
Yep.
And if you've got like a beige, whatever it is, it's not going to stand out. But if you have a bright, like cross colors type, crazy patterns or whatever, big logo, then that's going to stand out more.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about fashion at all, to be honest.
And really, like, if you want to talk about vintage and polo, the fastest sale I've ever had on like a shirt, like a hype beast type style 90s shirt, was I picked up a polo Ralph Lauren. It was a collar block rugby polo, and it was like straight 90s, and that thing sold for like $69 in like 30 minutes.
Nice.
It was super quick. But you just, like, I pick up a lot of vintage brands, and what a lot of people don't understand is vintage brands don't always sell quick. Like, that's one thing where you have to have the right buyer.
I think so. And I think that's why you said what you said earlier was key about not dropping your price. Like, 2 weeks it hasn't sold. Okay, I'm going to have to drop it. Because if you're like a thrift store shopper, if you're a one-off shopper, that item has to find that one person. So, I mean, if you're buying 20 of these things, then maybe that's a different story, but probably not. But I mean, at least that's the clothing that I have basically is all one-offs. I'm not sure. Is yours basically all one-offs? Or are you doing more? Are you doing any wholesale, or is it?
Most of them are, but I am doing some wholesale. And it's not a lot. Like, it's a lot. Some wholesale and like women's lingerie and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I'm doing like I have other wholesale avenues, but I've just started like dabbling in that about a couple months ago. And I do a lot of one-offs, but I also do a lot of like new items and new in the box. And like, I just literally found and sold, I bought 2 smoke detectors at a thrift store, brand new in the box.
Okay.
And you're never going to believe this. You're never going to believe it. But I picked them up for $8 for both of them and sold them both to the same person for $319.
Wow. Were they gold plated?
No, they were not gold plated. They were a hard wire smoke detector, and they were contractor grade, but they were discontinued.
Oh,
so they were going like on Amazon for $144. Jeez. And I flipped them for about $159 a piece on eBay.
That's crazy.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
Right. Yeah. So I just like, I always try to expand in everything, because my kind of how I run my business is I want to sell whatever's profitable. And in order to make profits, you can't just sell vintage clothing. I found that out at the start because I wasn't selling that much.
Yep. That's what happened to me about 2 years ago. I kind of went because when I came back to reselling, I was doing mainly clothing. And then this is probably 2-3 years ago. And then all of a sudden Q4 ended, and then you're in the slow season, and then clothing, obviously. And like I said, I'm not a big clothing. I don't buy whatever. My stuff is older. And then I had to diversify. So I kind of dropped away. So when I came back to clothing, I said, you know what? It can't be the only thing I do.
Yeah. And I started out in hard goods on eBay. All hard goods. I ran away from clothing because I was terrified of it.
Yeah. I mean, you hear some horror stories, and now, I mean, there's new horror stories out there now. I mean, especially new clothing with me, I'm still kind of not there. Women's clothing I don't touch. Children's clothing, I'm very specifically men's and mainly vintage. I'd say 75%. I do some new stuff, but not really, which is not good. I need to diversify more. But I mean,
and I started selling women's clothing too. Like I just started selling women's clothing like last month, and that's made up like 50% of my sales.
Nice. And are you doing that only on eBay, or is that other places too?
Right now, only on eBay. So I have one main account, and I have a secondary smaller account. I only have some books listed on now, but I'm gonna be listing on that account more. I'm just really what I'm trying to do is grow my first account, my main account. I have a premium store, so I'm trying to grow it to 1,000 listings continually or more. And then I started listing on Mercari, I think last week, and I'm trying that out. And I'll still. So my goal is I'm going to be listing on. I'm going to pick like as many platforms as I can, because I think as a reseller you need to have multiple platforms you're selling on.
Definitely.
But I'm going to not cross post or cross list anything. I'm going to source new items for every single platform and integrate it into the same inventory system.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. You're never going to have the issue where you sell one and then you have to scramble just in case you sell it again.
Well, I'm not even afraid of that. I just like my vision is I want to overall, like I want to grow, right? So in order to grow, if you're just cross posting stuff, you're just getting those items seen more. So you're not going to list anymore. You're going to sell more, which is good. But then you kind of hit a plateau, right?
True.
Right. Yeah.
That's true. Actually, what I like about that idea is that what you're essentially doing is you're having one system for multiple businesses.
Yeah.
So you got eBay, but maybe on eBay you're selling shoes, and on Mercari maybe you're selling, vintage shirts or whatever it is.
Right.
But I mean, so I actually think that's a good way in terms, because I'm really badly organized, because I showed you my store. Not good. But I mean, if you have that, at least it's kind of like an inventory system before you even started an inventory system, because you've already divided it. So that's cool. So that's a good segue actually, because I know nothing about Mercari. I've never sold on it at all. Could you go through how that was since you're just starting up?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the easiest thing I've ever done, first off.
Cool. And
so I actually the only thing I cross-listed was bubble mailers, because I have an entire 12 by 19 storage unit.
Makes sense.
But literally, I took my pictures and I loaded them up in the Mercari app. I listed it all from my phone. Setting in the storage bin parking lot, I did 4 listings.
Nice.
And it has you type a title. The title, they give you less words than eBay, so you have to be very careful on what you use, because you get I think it's less than 40. It's 40 characters, I think, right?
Okay.
And I think eBay, I think they give you a little bit more than that. They might not, but it seemed like a lot less. I don't know why. And then you just type a short description, and then the shipping, you set it, and it's by a range. So they have 1 to 3 pounds, and then over 3 to 5, and you just pick that, and it's the shipping on a 4-pound item is $9 priority.
What?
Yeah, they actually negotiated better rates for that than eBay.
I mean, I've always wondered about how eBay negotiated their rates, but I mean, What's interesting about what you just said is the lowest rate is a 1 to 3 pound. That's the very lowest shipping rate.
Yeah. And it's usually about it doesn't differ much. Like it might be like $9 and then the upper one's like 10.60.
Okay. I think what they did then is they figured what's the lowest we can go. Maybe they went slightly above it. And then, so they'll never lose money, but never.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
The shipping's a lot cheaper and you can choose to either pay it yourself or have your buyer pay it, you know? So
nice. Easy.
Does the shipping go, how do they do the shipping? When you pay it, does it come right out of that cell, or do you have to, you know how eBay does you're going to pay shipping on a different?
Well, I'm not for sure yet because I haven't sold anything yet. Okay. But I know they pay you out, so this is a little weird. It's a little different, but you have to have a minimum. I think it's like $20 or maybe $30, and then you just direct deposit it right to your bank account.
Oh, so they do it in chunks then.
Yeah, so you get to do it in chunks, but honestly, on Mercari, I don't think I would list anything below $20. I think my average item, I would make sure it's around $20, to be honest.
That makes sense, because I'm just wondering, because is it domestic? I mean, I'm assuming they go internationally as well, or is it just domestic only?
I think it's just domestic.
Okay.
I'm almost positive, because they only give you
for the shipping rates you're talking about then.
Yeah, because they only really give you about 2 shipping options, and it's either USPS priority or it's I think it's it might be, it's either UPS or FedEx. I think it's FedEx, but the FedEx is way high. It's about $2-3 higher.
Gotcha.
So I just do priority USPS because that's where I ship. I ship mostly that and first class anyway. So
okay. That's exciting, though. I mean, to be honest, I've I think I told you this last time. I've technically started Poshmark. I think I listed 25 things.
Nice.
It was similar sounding to what you said.
Yeah.
I haven't sold anything, but then again, I haven't really followed up with it.
Right.
Which is not good. I'm still basically kind of like I do basically FBA, merch, and eBay. Those are the 3 main ones for me. But then, okay. But then, since you're dividing up stuff, is eBay still like? Would you say Mercari is more for newer stuff then, or is it?
I would say Mercari is really for just about anything. And I actually, when Mercari first came out, the sellers on there, oh man, they were not good. And you could source vintage concert T-shirts off there for like $5, nice. And I was flipping them on eBay for like 40 and 50.
Jeez. All right, that's a perfect segue actually, because I know that you're big on vintage T-shirts.
Yeah.
So my thing is, obviously we all see a lot of T-shirts.
Yeah.
What's biggest giveaway, easiest takeaway in terms of telling what a fake T-shirt is, or maybe not a fake T-shirt, one that's not vintage?
Okay, so it's always going to be the tag. All right, the tag is the biggest thing, and I can tell you this: on Mercari, if you are going to source on there, be very careful, because people will have the shirts with the print on tags and they say they're vintage just because they have an old rock band. Not the case.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you this right now. So this is one of my finds. I picked it up for $3.99. And this is a vintage I think it's a 94. Yeah, 1994 Metallica Ride the Lightning t-shirt.
Nice.
And it is true vintage. It is in 1994. I think it has a lot of issues. That's the beautiful thing about concert t-shirts, is if they have holes, you can still sell them because people like that. It gives it character.
Yeah.
So the tag for me is Giant, is not a lot of a brand that people hear about, but a lot of concert venues I know printed that, but the tag is here and it has, it's actual tag. And then obviously it's made in El Salvador. So when you look at it, you're like, oh, that might not be vintage. But then a lot of your concert t-shirts will have this little thing on the very bottom of the picture, and it'll give a date. And it's 1994 is the date.
Nice.
And that's, now a lot of them will be printed on like Fruit of the Loom or Anvil. And you can tell like those old tags, as soon as you look at it and it says made in the USA. Yeah. The kicker is usually if they're like 70s to early 80s, they're usually made or printed on like Fruit of the Loom and they're 50-50, 50% polyester, 50% cotton. And those are the for a fact it's made in the USA. It's that I can just literally walk through the thrift store now and look at the tags and I'm like, nope, that's fake.
That's awesome. Because you know what? It's funny you say the 50-50 because I picked up this is a concert t-shirt. It's like an old Boy Scouts t-shirt. It's orange, has that crew neck thing, but it says 50-50 on the tag though.
Yep.
I mean, they're not going for much, but I like the tag was the giveaway. It was a thick tag.
Right.
And it was kind of obviously why would you waste your money reproducing that tag?
And that shirt's made in El Salvador. That's mid 90s. But most of your like really vintage shirts, like 88 to before, is all gonna be USA.
Okay.
Like this right here is so I picked this up today and it's probably not gonna sell for a whole lot, but it was half off. So it was like 90 cents. But this is a vintage Chaps Ralph Lauren tie, and I really liked it's like a leaf kind of Hawaiian kind of really cool, has like some coconuts on it, and nice. I thought it would sell really well. So how I looked at it was I looked at the tag on the tie and it's made in the USA. Now I know it's 100% made in the USA, but Chaps Ralph Lauren, if it's literally before like 92 around there, they printed everything overseas.
Okay.
Like big companies like that. If you can find something made in the USA, you know for a fact and Ralph Lauren and also Polo for a very, very short time made shirts in the USA because Polo, Ralph Lauren almost went bankrupt like back in the 80s. Like they almost lost their entire company. So they were making stuff on the cheap.
Nice. That's good to know. I didn't know that actually, because I figured, And then the other thing you said about the printing on the bottom of the shirt there, I noticed that because I have a friend who sold me like 3 or 4 WWF t-shirts. They're probably all 96 to 99, and it says it at the bottom, right at the bottom there, 1998, and then in little tiny little print.
Yep.
So it's one of the giveaways.
There is so much. Like I'm not even gonna lie, I never really picked to sell vintage. I think it chose me. But the thing is there's so much that I've had to teach myself about vintage stuff because sometimes it's really hard to tell.
That's what worries me, especially because I know there's another thing that you were selling. You were selling I think you talked about orange tags with Levi's.
Yeah, orange Levi orange tag. Oh yeah.
I've always had the biggest trouble with jeans. I don't know what it is. They freak me out in terms of listing them and everything like that. So I mean, how do you tell if something's like an older, I guess Levi's? I know they're super old, but I mean like say 70s, 80s, 90s, somewhere in there.
So all your like 70s and 80s Levi's, most of it's again going to be printed in the USA. But so the shirts, like the money is in the old Levi's shirts, and they're chambray shirts. Okay, and these things sell like hotcakes. And I found an old one at a thrift, the first one I ever found, like over the last summer, and it was an old chambray Levi's shirt, and you could just tell because the writing was like kind of in cursive, and it had the orange tag right on the pocket.
Yeah.
And it was just a different, because chambray feels really, it looks like denim, but it's not.
Is it like more coarse kind of a little bit, or?
It's more like it's softer kind of.
Okay, the opposite then. Okay, gotcha.
And that thing sold for like $70 in 4 or 5 hours. Like it was super quick. It sold to someone in North Hollywood, which was even crazier.
Oh, wow. You also, the old Big E. You always look for that Big E.
Oh yeah, the Big E. Now the Big E, I've never found a pair of those.
Same here.
Those things are the holy grail of Levi's.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen Blue Gold, that documentary that they made.
I'm gonna have to watch that though. It sounds really cool.
I mean, I remember for like a good week or two, I said, you know what, I'm gonna go find some jeans. I bought some. I probably bought some fakes or some useless jeans. I think I've sold 2 pairs of jeans ever. Yeah. But I was looking for them because this guy literally long story short, buys him here, and he has these big guys he sells for in Japan and all over the country. Actually, I'm talking about like $500 a pair.
Wow.
I don't know where he's getting these things, because these are like super holy grail jeans.
Yeah.
These aren't like you're running the mills.
Right.
So, but yeah, you got to watch that. Blue Gold, I think it's called.
That's well, and see, like some of the Levi's, like the orange tags still don't sell great. So like I sold a pair of Levi's jeans, but they were all black and they were orange tag, and I sold them for $29.99. Took a little while to sell them, but the reason those sell for about $30 is they're orange tag. They're not as old, but the hipsters like to wear them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
what about like silver tabs? Do they still make that?
Yeah, I don't think they make those anymore. I think if I remember right, those sell for okay, but you have to get them very cheap. And if I buy silver tabs, it'll be like at a garage sale or something like that. But for the most part, like there's certain Levi's jeans, and I can't remember. I usually pick them up. I think they're 505s. If I can get those for $1 or less, I will always pick them up because I go to the bins a lot, and I'll pick those up because it's about $25, $26 sometimes, 24 or something like that.
Okay, so decent. And
yeah,
because like I said, I've never done well with pant jeans. What I've done okay with are jean jackets. I don't think I've ever not sold a jean jacket, as long as it was either Lee or Levi's.
Right.
The Sherpas.
Yeah, the Sherpas are the best.
Oh,
in
yeah.
my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those things sell for crazy money.
Yeah, and they sell quick.
Yeah. The only one somebody questioned me on was, probably shouldn't have picked it up. It was a yellow Guess jean jacket. It was women's size, like medium.
Oh, wow.
And it sat and sat and sat and sat and sat. And then I got a question saying, "Is this real?" So then I pulled it because I got nervous. I'm like,
See, and I've had that a lot too. And I've had people that will message me and say, "What's the source of where you got this at?" And I'm like, I don't have to tell you. I can tell you
protection for that. We have often
Let me give you the address real fast. Here you go.
Yeah, we've got eBay protects them and us on that.
Yep. So. And I don't say it that rude, but I usually tell them this came from an estate sale. Even if it came from a thrift store, I always put it came from an estate sale or an avenue, something similar to that. And I'll say I have been selling vintage for a long time, and I know exactly, and I will point out the things of what makes it real. And then usually they're like, okay, cool.
Shane, you said a little bit ago, you said something about the knowledge you've had to gain and what you've had to learn. What were some of your techniques for learning that knowledge? I mean, we always have Google and all that, but what are some of the other things you did to gain that knowledge of the vintage clothing?
All right. So, and this may not be a lot of like what people want to hear, but you carry a computer in your pocket all day long, 24/7, 365, right? I have my phone on me almost all the time. So I like I said, I started out selling hard goods on eBay. I never sold clothing. And I knew personally I was going to have to get into clothing to make money because that's what's available in my area in abundance, right? So, and I still do this to this day, okay? I will go to a new area in the thrift store every time I go, and I will research as much as I can on my phone, on eBay. Mm-hmm. And I learned those new items. So I research and I pick a brand and research. And that's literally what I did with vintage stuff is I just researched, but I also would sit at home. And if I was like watching a movie with my wife and kids, I would just get my laptop out and I would just type in eBay and go to completed. And I would just type in vintage and and I would just scroll through the listings and look at them. And I did this for months and months.
Nice.
Just looking at vintage clothing on eBay. And then I started just finding it. And I'm like, wow, I just found that. Oh my gosh, I just found that. And you know, it's a rush like when you find it, but that's what you have to do is if you want to get into vintage clothing, you literally just go to the clothing rack and look for something that looks old and stands out, and then you just research it.
Our theme of our podcast is always research equals knowledge equals profits.
Yep.
And that's it right there. You have to put the time in for the research.
Exactly.
And even if like you're sitting at home, like, and your family's watching a movie, get your laptop out. Okay, go to eBay. And then type in the most ridiculous things that you want to look up. Like just hit completed listings and type in like crazy vintage shirt or like just really ridiculous things. And then you can also get brands and pull brands from that. And then you could write down like Tommy Hilfiger, Paisley, or, you know, collar block polo shirts or collar block shirts. And then you just kind of just snowball off of that, and you just start gaining all this knowledge about it.
No, I mean it's as simple and as difficult in the same line as that. But I mean, like for example, we all live in different parts of the country, and you doing that in Illinois, and then I'm doing this at home. Russ is doing that in his area.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, for example, Goodwills, because everyone talks about, oh, the prices are bad in their area. They're not. You don't know what they're going to get in terms of surplus stuff they get, like the Rosses,
Right.
Marshalls, Goodwills. So you may be getting something in your part of the country nobody else has, nobody else
Right.
knows about, nobody else can get that discounted price. And you could be looking at a product maybe that's only discounted in your city, in your county, not anywhere else. So
Yeah.
you know,
And
take advantage.
I've even made decent money off Ross. Like I don't tend to go to Ross a lot, but like I found one good product. It was an Omni Shade. It was an Omni Shade Columbia fishing like button up, and it was $11. And I bought like 3 of them and sold them all for like 41 for 46, one for 42, one for like 45. And that was about what they were going for, 40 and up. So
that's awesome, because I mean, I know, because just living in California, we get a lot of stuff. Obviously, people, the easiest one to think about is like sporting teams. Your area, you're going to have your sporting teams, your colleges, regardless.
right.
But like for us, for example, I think I was watching a video. Somebody was talking about like cowboy boots and Western shirts and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't get that much of that here. Maybe some of the shirts, but not really. We don't really have like boots, definitely not hats or anything like that in this area at all. If we do, they'll be super high price. So I just wonder, like, if you were in the South, in Texas, in a place where you would see an abundance of cowboy related stuff, what does that go for? Is it less? I mean, that's just as an example.
Yeah. Well, and for me, like in Illinois, there's tons of Western shirts and cowboy boots.
Okay.
Like, every thrift I walk into, there's racks of Western shirts because I'm in a unique part of Illinois, and I live in the middle of the state. So I live 2 hours from Indianapolis, 2 hours from St. Louis, 2 hours from Chicago. I live 40 minutes from Peoria, 40 minutes from Springfield, 20 minutes from Champaign, 20 minutes from Bloomington.
So this is why your airport is the busiest in the country, man.
Yep.
I mean,
yep. And that's why I live in like 2 hours of almost every major city in the Midwest.
Nice. Nice. So do you see that, like, when you go do you go to, like, because I know a lot of people talk about, like, they go to auctions and they're different in different areas. I don't know if you've gone to like physical auctions as well.
Yep.
And do you see like differences when you go to those? Because the ones I see around here are kind of, let's say, hoity-toity, or the opposite. They're like literally out of a storage unit where they just kind of store this stuff. Nothing in between.
Yeah, some of my auctions are like, there's some I know that I try to stay away from unless I just randomly go if I'm bored, because I know that the prices are going to be so high I can't touch anything to resell. So I'll just occasionally go, and then there's those auction houses where I go with a wad of cash because I know I'm going to spend it. And there was this one auction house about 30 minutes from me, and I try to go. I've only went like once this year, but they sell tons of new in the box stuff. like cookware sets, and depending on the day and who's there, because it's all about who is there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's this one guy that recognized me off YouTube, and he sells on Amazon, and he buys up everything. He merch fulfills everything. And he has like 3 storage sheds at his house that he's filled up, and I can't outbid him. He outbids me every single time. But if he's not there, I can get stuff for super cheap.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I kind of with you in the sense that the ones I've been to, because I do a lot of pickups from auction houses on the shipping side, not so much buying, but I see these, and because I've literally been to these places where they're selling stuff that are in the tens of something I wouldn't be able to bid on, tens of thousands,
right?
And they've got like the big screen, they've got a line of people on the phones, and they've got like people like I don't know what they're called, but people on the phone talking to somebody, some bigwig on the other side of the country.
That's so crazy. No, I have never been to an auction like that, because usually my auctioneers all wear cowboy hats and cowboy boots, and I
want to go to one of those.
It's super like farm auction type, like it's really, really cool.
Now, farm auctions are the best to me.
Yeah.
Man, you just don't know what you're going to run into.
No, there's this one auction that it only happens twice a year, and it's all outdoors on wagons, and it's just all day long.
Just
is that like equipment as well, and like farm, like the heavy equipment as well?
No, a lot of it's like building materials. Gotcha. And then you have like cast iron stuff and just antiques, and it's really cool. And you can sometimes get like the nice cast iron tractor seats for like $10.
Is that the one over near Mattoon?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I've been to that years and years ago.
Yep. I actually grew up down by Mattoon, so it's how I know about it. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That was where I did some of my first sourcing with my parents. Yeah.
That's an awesome auction. I mean, it's just great. It's fun, and
I mean, that's not cheap stuff too that you're describing there. And then you can pick it up for next to nothing, you're saying? I mean,
well, and that's more south of me, and the farther you go south, the bigger your bankroll gets and the farther it goes. So I'm up like in the northern part of Illinois, but as far when you start going south and more south, it's poor communities, it's super blue collar, and they don't have a lot of money.
Gotcha.
And so it's massive farm community. Yep. I mean, that's what they did. Everybody was a farmer down there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the stuff you're looking,
everything.
Yeah.
Farmers save every equipment.
Yeah. Every bolt, every nut, everything. And like what Russ is saying, like that's also the pro is because they're not looking to resell it. They're bidding on stuff they can use. You're bidding on stuff to resell, so most of them aren't even going to bid on it.
Wow. Right. Because I mean that's I've only seen an auction like that on a show, like I don't know. I know they're not auctions, but like American Pickers, that type of thing, like giant areas with like barns filled with stuff.
Oh yeah. Jeez. Mo, you would be amazed. Like it's like acres and acres of wagons just with stuff on them.
That would be awesome.
And it's quick too. I mean, they roll through, and if you're talking to a buddy, you may miss something you've been looking at. I mean, you got to be on point.
Well, and I think that one they run like 3 or 4 auction rings at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really quick.
Jeez.
So if my wife goes with me, I have her stand over here, and I'm like bid on anything that goes that's really cheap. Like I give her a price, and she'll go there, and then I'll go to one, and it's quick.
Yeah. The only thing I went that's similar to that, I went to a car auction, and those go fast, and obviously those are outdoors, so you can test them out. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try bidding. I was like 22. I'm like, all right, let's get a cheap Porsche. Like, yeah, right. I mean, that's not gonna work with the $600 I have in my pocket. So no.
But you know what? I can take any day of the week, Monday through Sunday, and I can go to an auction anytime I want.
That's awesome.
Living in the Midwest, that's what you got. I can go to Indiana, and I can I could get to an auction every night of the week if I really wanted to.
Yeah, because around here it's mainly what they do is they push them online. And then so maybe there is similar stuff, but it's all online because they want to grab the entire country, I guess.
Yep.
Or they're kind of those hoity-toity ones I described. So it's kind of I wish I could go to one that like you're describing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over your Mo. That used to be a social event too, and that was where the town got together once a month. We used to go to auctions, and it was basically a barbecue party.
Nice.
And they would just get together, start auctioning the stuff off, and oh, hey, how you doing? How you doing? It was a cool time. So
yeah,
it's good that they're still keeping that up, and good you're nailing it. That's a good thing.
Yeah. And Mo or Russ, if you guys are ever in the area, let me know. We'll go to some auctions. So
I'd love to.
We got to get Mo out of California. That's
I know.
I've been stuck here too. I'm originally from England, so I get stuck in places for too long. So I need to expand my horizons a little bit. But yes, I think we've kept Shane here for an hour now, and I don't want to abuse his time. But I'd like to actually ask you now if you'd like to come back. You have an open invitation to come to any of our shows.
Definitely, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, very, very cool. Easy to talk to, because I'm awkward and you're the opposite. You're very easy to talk to.
Yeah, I would be happy to. I mean, I think that it's a lot of fun, and I like hanging out with you and Russ. And we all three of us, we source, and I can tell we do things differently, but we all have a ton of knowledge.
Yep, exactly. And before I forget, I want to have you plug your channel. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's Rise and Grind Picker, and then I'm also on the Reseller Six Pack show every Sunday. Yep. And so just come over there, or you can come to my channel and sub, and you're gonna get a lot of awesome content. And some of it's bad, some of it's good, but just be the judge of that.
And the links are down below, and then I'll add the Reseller Six Pack too. I forgot that. I'll add that. It's all gonna be right below. If anybody's watching out there, please sub his channel. It's really, really good. And you'll learn a lot more than you'll learn right here. But I'm just kidding.
I don't know about that. I like watching you guys. It's awesome.
All right, cool. So how's it, Russ? Anything else? Any last words?
No, I want to stress to people that our theme and how Shane nails it. That pro tip of research equals knowledge equals profit.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So for us at the Reselling Niche Podcast, you can check us out on YouTube. Please check us out on iTunes if you can as well. And then we have a mini Facebook group, Reselling Niche Podcast Facebook group. And for myself, Russ, and Shane, we will talk to you next time. Have a good one.
Go Cardinals.